You click because your home never feels fully clean, no matter how hard you scrub. I know that feeling. I lived in it for years. Cans of spray under every sink. Weekends lost to deep cleaning. And by Wednesday, the house looked like I had done nothing at all. Here is what I got wrong. I believed clean came from more effort and more product. It does not. The Japanese homes I started studying run on less of everything, and they stay calmer, fresher, and tidier than mine ever did. These are real Japanese household methods, some of them centuries old, built around one idea: work with the space, not against it. And the biggest flip, the one that quietly makes everything else easier, I am saving for the very end, because it comes from a design concept most Americans have never heard of. It works in a tiny rental too. No drilling, no permission, nothing you cannot start today. Let me start with the habit I clung to the longest. For years, the first thing I reached for was a spray bottle. Counter looks smudged, spray. Table sticky, spray. I thought the chemical was doing the work, and I thought more of it meant cleaner. Here's what that habit was really costing me. Every spray left a thin film. That film grabbed dust and grease faster, so the surface got dirty again sooner, so I sprayed again. I was feeding the exact problem I was trying to fix and paying $8 or $9 a bottle to do it. In Japan, the everyday tool is not a spray. It is a simple cloth called a fuken, a flat woven cotton cloth, often barely damp with plain water, used to wipe surfaces the moment they need it. No foam, no perfume, no residue left behind to attract the next layer of grime. The reason it works is almost embarrassingly simple. Most daily mess on a counter is not baked on filth. It is fresh, light, and water-soluble. A damp cloth lifts it instantly. The chemical was never the hero. The wiping was. So now I keep a folded cloth within arm's reach of the kitchen, and I wipe as I go, 10 seconds after cooking. Not 10 minutes on Saturday. The counter stays clean longer because there is no sticky film left to catch dust. That one change shrank my cleaning time and my shopping list at the same time. But the cloth is only the beginning, because the next habit I unlearned is the one that ate my entire weekend. I used to save cleaning for one big push. Saturday morning, gloves on, every room in one exhausting marathon. I thought that was what responsible people did. Clean hard, then rest. The problem is what happened between Saturdays. Dirt does not wait for your schedule. By the time I attacked it, grime had set, dust had thickened, and every task took 3 times longer because I had let it build. I was not cleaning, I was rescuing. The Japanese approach is called soji, and it is less an event than a rhythm. Small cleaning, woven into the day, so nothing ever gets the chance to build into a project. A wipe here, a quick sweep there, a minute, not a morning. This is not a modern life hack. In Japanese schools, children clean their own classrooms every single day, a practice tied to the idea that caring for a space is a daily act, not a punishment you save up for. They grow up never knowing the weekend marathon model I thought was normal. So I broke my big clean into tiny daily pieces. 2 minutes in the bathroom after my morning routine. A quick pass on the floor while the kettle heats. The house never gets dirty enough to need a marathon, and my Saturdays came back. That felt like freedom. But it also made me look harder at the dirt itself and where it was really coming from. And honestly, this is the moment I want to pause for just a second, because what I have been sharing with you goes so much deeper than any single tip. Everything I have learned about the Japanese approach to a calmer, cleaner home, the systems, the philosophy, the specific habits. I put it all together in my book. It is called Clean Slate, and it is also published as Deep Order and the Clean System. It walks you through the full method in one place, so you are not piecing it together from a dozen different sources. If you want the complete picture beyond what I can cover in a video, check the description for details on how to find it. Now, back to where all of this led me straight to the front door, and a habit almost every American home shares without thinking. Here is a habit almost every American home shares without thinking. We walk in from outside and keep our shoes on. Across the entryway, through the kitchen, onto the carpet, we track the whole world in with us and never connect it to why the floors feel gritty. I did it for decades. And I blame my floors, my vacuum, my dog, anything but the actual source. The truth is that the outside of a shoe carries dirt, pollen, and whatever was on the sidewalk, and every step presses it deeper into your home. The Japanese answer is the Genkan, a dedicated entry zone, usually a step lower than the rest of the floor, where shoes come off before you enter. That small drop in height is not decoration. It is a physical boundary that keeps outside dirt in one contained place instead of spread across every room. You do not need to remodel to borrow it. I put a low tray by my door and a basket for shoes right beside it. The rule is simple. Shoes come off at the line every time, no exceptions. Within a week, my floors stopped feeling gritty, and my daily sweep picked up a fraction of what it used to. The dirt was never really being made inside. I was importing it. And once I stopped, I finally noticed the room where I had been fighting the hardest and losing worst. That room was the bathroom. My old routine there makes me cringe now. I scrubbed the shower with harsh cleaner on the weekend, watched mold creep back within days, and assumed I just needed a stronger product. What I refused to see was the water. Every shower left droplets clinging to the walls, the glass, the corners. That standing moisture is exactly what mold needs to grow. I was scrubbing the symptom every Saturday while recreating the cause every single morning. In many Japanese bathrooms, the last step of a shower is not stepping out. It is a quick pass with a squeegee, wiping the water off the walls and glass, plus a moment to let steam escape. Dry surfaces cannot grow mold. It is that direct. This connects to the whole Japanese bathing culture, where the bath, the ofuro, is treated as a clean, cared-for space, kept dry and fresh between uses rather than left damp and forgotten. The habit is prevention, not rescue. So I hung a cheap squeegee inside my shower and gave it 30 seconds after I rinse off. The mold that used to return within days simply stopped coming back. I have not bought heavy-duty bathroom cleaner in months. 30 seconds a day replaced the scrubbing session I dreaded. And right about here is where I started getting genuinely angry, because I began to wonder why nobody ever taught me any of this. Let me say the quiet part out loud. You were not born knowing the hard way. You were taught it. And a lot of what you were taught was shaped by people who profit when you clean the difficult, product-heavy way. Think about it. A daily damp cloth does not sell much. A drawer full of specialty sprays, one for glass, one for granite, one for wood, one for stainless steel, sells constantly. The marathon cleaning model is wonderful for anyone selling the fifth bottle you did not need. I am not saying there is a villain in a boardroom plotting your dirty floors. I am saying the easy, nearly free methods were never advertised to you, because there is no money in telling a woman she already owns everything she needs. The Japanese methods survived precisely because they were built around home and habit, not around a store shelf. Once I saw that, I could not unsee it. And it made me question the single most expensive organizing mistake I had been making for years. Whenever my home felt cluttered, I did what I was trained to do. I bought bins, baskets, drawer dividers, closet systems, clear boxes. I believe clutter was a storage problem, and storage was something you purchased. Here is the trap in that buying storage lets you keep everything. So the clutter never actually leaves. It just gets relocated into nicer containers. And 6 months later, I was buying more bins to hold the overflow from the first ones. I was funding my own mess. The Japanese concept that broke this cycle for me is danshari, 3 ideas in 1 word. Dan, to refuse what you do not need. Sha, to let go of excess. Ri, to step away from attachment to things. It is not about organizing your stuff. It is about owning less of it in the first place. The order matters more than anything. You reduce first, then store what remains. When I finally did it that way, most of what I owned did not need a bin at all, because it did not need to exist in my home. So before I buy a single container now, I empty the space completely and ask what actually earns its place back. 9 times out of 10, I need half the storage I thought I did, and I spend nothing. That flipped my whole relationship with my closet. But it also exposed how I was storing the things I chose to keep, which turned out to be backward in a way I had never questioned. Look at how most of us store folded clothes. Flat, stacked in a pile, one shirt on top of the next. I did it my whole life. And every time I pulled a shirt from the bottom, the whole stack collapsed, and I refolded the drawer for the 10th time that month. The hidden cost is not just the mess. It is that you only ever see the top item. Everything underneath is invisible, so you wear the same 3 things and forget you own the rest. You buy duplicates of clothes you already have, buried 2 inches down. The fix comes from the folding method popularized by the Japanese tidying expert, whose name is now shorthand for decluttering. You fold each item into a small standing rectangle and file them vertically, side by side, so every piece stands upright like books on a shelf. Now you open the drawer and see everything at once. Nothing collapses because nothing is stacked. Each item supports the one beside it, and you can pull one without disturbing a single other. I refolded one drawer this way as a test and was honestly stunned. I found clothes I had forgotten I owned. My drawer holds more now, looks calmer, and never needs redoing. Seeing everything at once changed how much I bought and how much I wore. But the next habit I dropped was hiding in a place I sprayed every day without thinking twice. For years, my defense against a stuffy home was scent. Plug in air fresheners, aerosol sprays, scented gels on every shelf. I thought a fresh-smelling home was a clean home, so I masked odor with more perfume. But masking is not removing. Those products layer a fragrance on top of the smell, and often the two mix into something worse. Meanwhile, the actual source of the odor, trapped moisture and stale air, sits there untouched. I was paying monthly for a cover-up. The Japanese alternative is binchotan, a type of activated charcoal that has been used in Japan for generations. Instead of adding scent, it absorbs. Its porous surface pulls odor and excess moisture right out of the air, quietly, with no fragrance at all. You simply set a piece in the fridge, near the shoes, in a damp closet, or by the trash. It works for months, and when it tires out, you can refresh it in the sun. No refills to buy on a schedule, no chemical haze. I put 1 lump in my entry basket and 1 in the fridge. The musty note I used to chase with spray just disappeared, and my home smells like nothing, which I finally understand is what clean actually smells like. Clean has no scent. That reframe alone saved me a shelf of products. But it made me rethink where I was keeping my cleaning tools and why I never wanted to use them. Here's a small habit with a big cost. I hid every cleaning tool away, under the sink, in the back of a closet, behind other things. I thought tidy meant out of sight. The result was that using a tool became a chore before I even started. If wiping the sink means crouching, moving 4 items, and digging out a cloth, I will simply not wipe the sink. The effort of retrieving the tool was bigger than the task itself. The Japanese habit of keeping cleaning within the daily rhythm depends on tools being effortless to reach a cloth by the sink, a small brush near the toilet, a broom that hangs in the open where you actually stand. Accessibility is the whole design. When the tool is right there, the 2-second job gets done in 2 seconds. When it is buried, it waits until it becomes a 2-hour job. The distance to your tools is the real difference between a home that stays clean and one that spirals. So I brought my most used tools out into the open, chosen to look calm rather than cluttered, and placed them exactly where the mess happens. My daily suji finally became automatic because nothing stood between me and the wipe. Making the easy way, the obvious way, changed everything. And that same logic exposed how much money I had wasted on one specific corner of the house, the windows. My window routine was pure waste. Blue spray, a wad of paper towels, streaks everywhere, then more spray to fix the streaks, then more paper towels. A roll gone, and the glass still smeared in the afternoon light. The paper towel was the problem. It shreds, leaves lint, and just pushes the cleaner around, and the heavy spray leaves a residue that dries into the very streaks I was fighting. The old Japanese trick, and honestly the trick of thrifty grandmothers everywhere, is simpler than any product. A cloth barely damp with water or even crumpled newspaper, and then a dry buff. No spray at all for everyday glass. Water lifts the light grime, and the dry pass removes every trace of moisture before it can streak. There is nothing left on the glass to dry into a smear because there was never any product on it to begin with. Now I do my mirrors and windows with one damp microfiber cloth and one dry one. 30 seconds, streak-free, no roll of paper towels in the trash. The glass stays clearer longer because there is no residue building up. That one felt almost too easy. But I know some of you are thinking none of this matters if you rent, if your space is tiny, if you cannot change a thing without losing your deposit. This next part is for you. If you live in a small apartment or a rental where you cannot drill, cannot paint, cannot alter a single wall, I need you to hear this. The Japanese methods were not built for mansions. They were perfected in some of the smallest homes in the world, where every inch counts and permanence is not the point. Start with vertical air, not vertical walls. In tight Japanese kitchens, tension rods do the work that shelves do elsewhere. A spring-loaded rod wedged between 2 cabinet walls. No screws, no holes, holds spray bottles by their triggers, or hangs S-hooks for cloths and tools. When you move out, it comes down and the wall is untouched. Then borrow the idea of the freestanding zone. Instead of building storage into the room holds a few flat, movable pieces you can lift out entirely. A low shelf, a rolling cart, a stacking box, nothing attached, everything reversible. And bring back furoshiki, the Japanese cloth wrapping tradition. A single square of fabric wraps and carries anything, then folds flat to nothing when empty. In a small home, it replaces a stack of rigid bins that themselves take up space when not in use. One cloth, endless shapes, zero footprint when idle. The Gen Con works in a rental too. A tray by the door needs no permission. The squeegee in the shower needs no permission. The daily cloth, the vertical fold, the charcoal, the tension rod, none of it touches your lease. I lived in a rental when I started all of this, and that is exactly why it stuck. Small space does not make these methods harder. It makes them essential, and it makes the payoff bigger, because in a small home, every wasted habit shows. So, no more excuses that this is only for big houses. It is the opposite. And that brings me to the habit that costs almost nothing to fix, but changes how a whole home feels the moment you wake up. I never reset my kitchen at night. I left the dishes for morning, the counter cluttered, one more glass in the sink. I was tired, and I told myself I would deal with it tomorrow. Tomorrow always started worse for it. I would walk into a kitchen that already looked defeated, and the whole day felt behind before I had my coffee. The mess I left at 11 at night was waiting to greet me at 7. Many Japanese homes end the day with a small ritual of returning the kitchen to zero. Sink empty, counter wiped with that damp cloth, everything back in its place. Not a deep clean, a reset, a closing of the day. The reason it works is emotional as much as practical. You are not waking up to yesterday's problem. You are waking up to a clean surface, a fresh start, a space that is ready for you instead of resentful of you. So now I spend 5 minutes before bed clearing the sink and wiping the counter. Every morning I walk into a kitchen that feels calm, and that calm quietly sets the tone for everything after it. 5 minutes at night bought me a better morning every single day. But even after all of this, the biggest flip was still ahead, and it is the one that reframes everything I just told you. Here is the belief almost every one of us holds, and the one I held longest. We think a clean, organized home means every surface holds something neatly. A pretty tray here, a decorative bowl there, storage on every wall, filled and tidy. We equate a full styled room with a cared for room. I chased that for years. And even when everything was organized, my home never felt calm. It felt busy, full, slightly exhausting, in a way I could not name. I kept adding, and the piece I wanted kept moving further away. The concept that finally explained it is called ma. In Japanese design, ma is the meaningful empty space between things, the pause, the breathing room. It is not the absence of design, it is the design. The emptiness is doing the work. This is the reversal that undoes the whole list. Every other method I have shared, the decluttering, the vertical fold, the charcoal instead of clutter, the tools placed with intention, all of it was quietly serving ma without me realizing. The point was never to store more beautifully. The point was to create empty space and protect it. An empty stretch of counter is not wasted. It is the feature. A clear shelf with one object is calmer and cleaner than a full one styled perfectly. A room with open floor breathes. Ma teaches that the space around your things is worth more than more things, and once you see a room that way, you stop trying to fill it. Here is why almost no one in America was taught this. Empty space cannot be sold to you. There is no product called nothing, no bin for the gap, no purchase that creates a pause. So the idea was never marketed here, while an entire culture on the other side of the world quietly built its homes around it for centuries. And it is the easiest thing on this whole list to try this weekend because it costs nothing and requires you to buy nothing at all. You do not add, you subtract. Clear one surface completely. One counter, one shelf, one tabletop. Leave it almost empty and then live with that emptiness for a few days. Watch what happens. The room feels bigger, it feels calmer, it stays clean because an empty surface has nothing to gather clutter and nothing to dust around. You will find yourself protecting that space instead of filling it, and that instinct, that quiet pull toward less, is the whole secret I spent years missing. That is Ma. The clean you have been chasing with more was always waiting in less. So here is what I most want you to walk away with. You were never lazy, and your home was never the problem. You were just handed the hard, expensive way and told it was the only way, when a quieter, nearly free way existed the entire time. If you are the kind of woman who is done working harder than the task actually requires, who would rather have calm and open space than one more product under the sink, these methods were made for you. You do not need a bigger home or a bigger budget. You need permission to do less, and now you have it. I want to hear from you, so tell me this. Are you still keeping your cleaning tools hidden away in a cabinet, or have you already started leaving a cloth where you can reach it? Drop it in the comments. I read them. And tell me which flip surprised you most. Because I have a feeling the empty space idea got some of you the way it got me. If any part of this made you rethink a habit you have had for years, come join the rest of us who are unlearning the hard way and quietly building calmer homes with less. In the next one, I am opening up the single Japanese morning habit that decides whether your whole house stays clean or falls apart by noon. And it happens in the first 10 minutes after you wake up. I will see you there. I'm so glad you're still here with me. This video gave you the overview, but inside the Tidy Home Circle, I continue the full Japanese cleaning system right where we just left off. And if something doesn't click, you can ask me directly, and I answer you myself. You'll belong among thousands of home organizers just like you. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen, and you can cancel anytime.